Okay, this meeting of the Community Enhancement Program Committee. Let the record show that present are Council President Mariana Valenzuela, Councilor Angel Falconer, Councilor Donna Gustafson, Councilor Karen Martinez, Councilor Brian Schimmel, Mayor Melinda Wenzel, and Paul Downey and Jesse Vanderzanden. And I don't know if Stephanie is in there as well.
She's in the back.
Okay, hi Stephanie. I'm going to turn it over to Paul.
All right, good evening. This is this meeting of the CEP committee to discuss the upcoming grants awards for 25-26. So next slide. Did you get it set up? So tonight we're going to provide information about the program and the process, discuss the upcoming process for next year, including available funding and funding options, and then have the committee to discuss and approve, hopefully, how they want to proceed with the number of grants and the amounts of grants that they want to offer for next year. Next slide. It's funded by a $1 per ton fee charged by Metro on waste disposal at the Forest Grove Transfer Station. In addition to the $1 fee, a facility may choose to collect an additional solid waste community investment fee of 50 cents per ton on all putrescible solid waste received by the facility, or a fee of up to $1 per ton on all waste types that are not subject to any solid waste community enhancement fees. Waste Management currently chooses to collect the 50 cent per ton fee. Again, they do not have to collect it, but they are choosing to collect it at the moment. Again, it's funded by the $1 per ton Metro fee, which generates about $65,000 for grants to nonprofits, and the CIF fee generates about 50 cents, generates about half that, or $32,500 in revenue. Currently, Metro allows us to use the CIF fee proceeds on the CEP grant program. They don't have to, but right now they've been for a little while discussing how they actually want to how they want to set up and establish so the people that collect the CIF fee, cities receive it, how they can spend it. Right now, they're letting us do it with the CEP program, but they haven't decided or come up with different rules on if they're going to change how they allow the use of the CIF fee. So in the future, that source could change on how we can use it. We just don't know what Metro is going to do with it yet. Okay. Criteria. A project must meet the following criteria to be eligible for funding. The program must be located within the boundaries of the solid waste community area as defined by the committee, or the program must benefit individuals or programs located inside the solid waste community enhancement area boundary. For Forest Grove, that area has always been defined as the city's urban growth boundary. And on number 2, the not-for-profit can be located outside the city's urban growth boundary, but the project must, to be awarded funds, but that project must benefit individuals or programs located inside the Forest Grove urban growth boundary. Next slide. Project applicant must be one of the following: a nonprofit, including without limitation a neighborhood association or charitable organization with 501c3 status in the IRS. However, Metro does allow 501c6s, even though it's not specified in the criteria. I think the Chamber of Commerce is a C6, and I know so they do allow those. We verified that within 1 year. We asked them specifically because we had a couple of C6 people that had applied, and we asked, well, it's not in your rules, and they said, well, we do allow it. So a school or institute of higher learning, a local government advisory committee, department, or special district, provided they include documented support from the local government executive officer. For example, the city itself wanted to apply for a CEP grant, we could, as long as Jesse signed the grant, signed a letter of support for it. Next slide. Project must not be used to replace any readily available source of federal, state, local, or regional funds. For example, if we dropped general fund, if the city stopped funding something with the general fund, we cannot start using CEP money to fund that because we've used city fees, city money in the past. Must not promote or inhibit religion and not discriminate based on race, ethnicity, age, gender, or sexual orientation. If the project is located on private land, the project application must establish a clear public benefit, and it must document landowner permission as part of the application. The last criteria is the one that normally we have trouble with, is the document permission as part of the application. Next slide. Metro goals for the project. Project shall meet one or more of the following goals. I'm not going to read them all. I just kind of let you skim through them. So most of you have seen them before, and it doesn't have to meet. Only has to meet one or more of those following goals. And when you're evaluating it, I know a common question we'll get from committee members is, if it meets 3 or 4 of them, does it get more credit than it gets for one? And staff's answer to you is not necessarily. It all depends on how much you value the project and how you want to do it. So how many of those goals it meets is up when you're looking at the project evaluations, up to you for how much credit you may or may not give them, but it only has to meet one of them to qualify. The Community Enhancement Committee may apply more restrictive eligibility criteria. We have done some of that in the past. I mean, we still use them, but it's not that much more restrictive. For example, we added a goal that projects will be evaluated on how the program enhances sustainability in the city while achieving values described in the city's vision plan, and now we added the 2040 plan. So that's sort of an additional criteria that you've added. The commission gives priority to projects that best meet Metro's program criteria and may adopt additional funding goals. We awarded this community impact grant last year, so it's got another 2 years to go, so we'll not be awarding another one of those until fiscal year 27-28's process. And we award the community enhancement grants. We award them annually. They have always been 1-year grants. Okay, last year, we awarded $90,000 in Metro funds. We awarded $40,000 annually for 3 years to the Forest Grove Cornelius Chamber of Commerce for their Business Development Center. Forest Grove Recovery, $20,000 for a 1-year grant. That was for a revitalization program. They were doing a roof and some other projects on their building. Forest Grove Elks Lodge, $20,000. That's the weekend backpack program for underserved students. And then the Forest Grove High School, $10,000 for 1 year for a theater revitalization program. It helped them get some funding so they could put on some of the plays that they wanted to put on this last year. Okay, so last year we received 9 applications for the Community Impact Grant. You awarded the 1 grant. There were 9 applications for the Community Enhancement Program grant, and all those applicants applied for $20,000. Last year when we did the program, we had $20,000 grant. We were going to award somebody $20,000 grants, somebody $10,000 grants, and somebody $5,000 grants, but everybody applied for a $20,000 grant. Even the high school program, which got 10, applied for a 20, but they agreed to take 10 just to see how it went for that year. 4 community impact grant applicants also applied for a CEP grant. Essentially, they were the same grants, but they applied for it as backup in the event the organization was not awarded the community impact grant. The applicants knew they were not eligible to get both grants, and they didn't ask for both grants. It was sort of a one or the other situation. And again, we didn't receive any applications for the $10,000 or $5,000 grants. Okay, for this year, we have $120,000 available, of which $40,000 has gone to the community. Will go to the Forest Grove Cornelius Chamber of Commerce for their second year of the CIG. So that leaves about $80,000 for you to award to the CEP grant program this year. So some considerations. Even though we're on a biennial budget, the committee will meet this year to award the 25-26 grants, and next year to award the 26-27 grants. We talked about whether we should do it over 2 years, but the part of the issue is if Waste Management chooses not to collect that community impact fee, then that money might not be available for the second year. So we're waiting. So we just thought we'd just do the one year at a time for the CEP grants. And now that we've got the tourism grant program, does the committee wish to fund tourism types events, or do we wish to say no, tourism events do not qualify for the CEP grants? And I believe last year we said that you wouldn't do tourism grant type awards to the CEP program. Okay, next slide. More considerations. Does the committee wish to offer varying ranges of grant awards to address the various sizes of nonprofits in Forest Grove? We have some very small ones. Or does the committee wish to offer only larger grants? And just because we didn't get any smaller grant applications last year doesn't mean you might not want to offer it again this year. For example, this is just an example. Does the committee want to offer, say, 4 $20,000 grants? Or does it want to offer, say, 2 $20,000 grants, 3 $10,000 grants, 2 $5,000 grants, or some combination that makes up that 80,000? So the number and dollar amounts of the award is ultimately at your discretion. And however you do that, we'll advertise those. So next slide. So recommendations, we recommend awarding all CEP grants for a 1-year period. We also recommend having all grant recipients do a written 6-month update and then a final report upon completion of the grant. And staff's recommending the following timeline: August 4th through September 17th for an application period. We went a little farther into September because August can kind of be a slow month and people are gone. That way, if they get back after Labor Day, they still have time to see that the process is going and get an application in. And October 13th, the CEPC meeting, including applicant presentations and approval of grant allocations. So that's tentative schedule there, and I believe that's completes what staff had for you. So I shall turn it back over to Mayor Wenzel unless Jesse's got anything to add before we start. All right, turn it back over to the mayor.
Thank you, Paul. I've never really led a meeting virtually, so thank you for your patience while you're all in person. So I think what I'm gonna do is just call on each counselor to share their remarks or their comments and just go in order. And Council President Valenzuela, if I am missing something, please feel free to help me out since you're in the room where it's happening. Okay, thank you. So let's go. First of all, are there any questions for Paul or Jesse? Council President.
Thank you. So I have a question about the community investment fee.
Mm-hmm.
So it says either 50 cents per ton,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or different.
Mm-hmm. Or the $1
kind of ways. So what I understand is that there are 32,500 currently, right, of the CIF?
Yeah.
Okay. So if we were to agree on the $1, right, it's either or, 50 cents or $1.
It's either or at Waste Management's option. I don't believe it's at our option which fee gets charged.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Can the CEP committee make a recommendation to Waste Management if they want to?
You're probably going to get more money off the 50 cents per ton than if you went with the $1 per ton fee.
Okay. So that was basically
Because if you go to a fee of $1 per ton on all waste types that are not subject to any solid waste community enhancement fees, that would exclude all of the addressable waste that comes into the transfer station, because that's what the $1 per ton fee is based on. So you're better off with the 50 cent per ton.
okay.
And if you wanted that fee raised, that would be something you'd have to work with Metro on.
Yes. Okay. I understand now. I understand. Okay. Thank you. That's the question that I
Okay, any other questions from council? I have, for the record, can we, Mariah, can you show that community member Marisa Salgado is in attendance as well? And then I heard that there was another question, I think.
Councilor
So
Falconer had a question.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My question is about, I think that there was something I read in here about eligibility, and the question I have relates to staff is asking us a question about whether we want tourism activities to be eligible. And what I thought I understood was that there's a restriction if there's a different funding source available. And so then doesn't it mean that that becomes ineligible if there is a tourism grant available?
So to clarify, and Paul, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Last year, the CEP committee, because the tourism sponsorship program and the tourism capital grant program were implemented, the committee decided that if it was an application for like an event, a tourism type event, that it would not qualify for CEP or CIF funds as part of the qualification criterion because it had another funding source. I think what staff was looking for guidance on is, it was my understanding, Paul, that was kind of for that year. And if the committee kind of wanted to re-up that, we would need to have some additional direction, whether you either want to do it for another year to have that qualification criterion, or whether you want to make this a longer term criterion that's tied to the tourism program. For example, if the tourism program ever went away, then those would become eligible again. So I think we were looking for some guidance on that. In the past, we have had, prior to the tourism sponsorship and capital program, we did get applications for events, and that's why that clarification was done at that time.
Okay.
Did I miss anything, Paul?
No, I think that's what we're looking for, is additional clarification.
Seeing as that's one of the considerations, do we want to first dive into that topic about tourism events? And then I think I'll just go around the room, and I think I'm just going to go in order. I see Councilor Martinez. We'll just go Councilor Martinez, and then Falconer, Schimmel, Valenzuela, and then Gustafson, and then myself, if that works for everybody.
So my one question, I guess, would be what falls under tourism events? For instance, would a fireworks display, because I know we've done it before COVID and we haven't been able to do it since. I know it's something that's come up multiple times within the community.
Probably not, I would say, because the fireworks event wouldn't be designed to get to pull people from 50 miles or more. You'd be more designing it for a local event.
That's more of a local event.
Designed to get local residents there.
Councilor Martinez, do you have an opinion on if we should include them as eligible to apply for CEP, or since we have this tourism grant program, we should exclude them until we no longer? I think that's the question that staff has. Is
Okay, well, right now it sounds like that it should be excluded if there's already other funds available.
That's what it seems like that to me too. So I would say yes.
I'll concur with my colleagues.
Yes, I think they should be excluded since there are other funds available.
Okay, we'll go on to Councilor Gustafson and then Marissa as well.
I just had a question about that. So with the events grant, which I think many organizations have taken advantage of, if I'm correct, but if an organization applies for an event grant, usually I think it's specific to a particular event, and then the city is also listed as a sponsor. So it's kind of like a sponsorship. But if they apply for that event grant for that event, what if they have a different project that they're actually requesting the other funds for?
Do you mean, when you say project, do you mean project or do you mean tourism event? Because project can mean many things.
Project, like a revitalization project, a program that they want to
That could be considered
get
separate
off
than
the
the
ground.
tourism event. That's why I asked the clarification.
Okay. So they would qualify for that even if they were receiving funds for a tourism event.
Yes.
Okay. And I concur with my other colleagues.
Okay, thank you. Marissa, do you have an opinion about it?
No, I agree with what everyone else has said, that there's other funds.
Okay, great. So for that consideration, we're going to exclude tourism events from CEP applications. So then the next question is, do we want to offer, does the committee wish to offer varying ranges of grant awards to address the various sizes of nonprofits in Forest Grove, or does the committee wish to offer only larger grants? And then anyone who would like to start can.
Yeah. I am inclined to support with large grants just because it has the possibility of having an impact, a big impact, instead of doing just a little bit, but it has the possibility of improving something 100%. Or to implement something 100% instead of a little part of it. I was really torn, with this question, but that would be my take.
Thank you, Council President.
For a $20,000 grant, since there were also no applications for the 10 or the 5 grand, thousand grants.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Gustafson.
Sure, I agree with Councilor Valenzuela. As far as the impact, the $20,000 grants and awarding 4 of them is going to be a high impact. And I think it will be easier to manage that as well for staff. Having something like 2 20K and 4 10K is going to be balanced. But then there's also more of a tiered grant, like I think we've done in the past, which will help benefit smaller group participation and maybe more available to small requests that might not be available otherwise. This is just giving you information on the different options that I see. But at the same time, considering that everybody applied for the $20,000 grant last year, that kind of says something. So I don't know about only $20,000 grants, but definitely the higher impact model I would be supportive of.
Thank you. Councilor Schimmel, Falconer, Martinez, or Ms. Salgado?
I'll just concur with what's been said already.
Same.
Okay.
And this is Marisa. I believe in the high impact model.
Okay, so it looks, if I'm mistaken, please feel free to correct me, but it looks like there's consensus of the committee to move forward with 4 $20,000 grants. Anyone? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Okay. And then let's see. I don't think there's. Oh, I had one question about the timeline, Paul. How does that line up with our Citizen Academy timeline? I think our communications team works really hard and does a lot.
I'm going to have Stephanie come up real quick and answer that one.
Cool, thanks. I'm just concerned that we have 2 big things on their plate, plus the 2040 plan. I just want to make sure it's viable.
So we did take into account the Civics Academy schedule. And Civics Academy starts September 10th. So we'll still be right in the beginning of the program. There will be a little bit of overlap, but not much. Definitely manageable.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, Jesse, Stephanie, did you need anything else from the committee? I feel like we're really early on time.
We are. The discussion went really smooth. I do want to make one quick clarification. So the applicant presentations would occur on October 13th. Typically, the way it's worked is, correct me if I'm wrong, last year the committee decided on the awards the same evening that the presentations occurred. Is that accurate? Or was it at a separate meeting after that? I'm just
That's
trying
accurate.
to.
That's accurate. We had the presentations, and then I believe we had the deliberation and decision that same evening. We've done it, multiple ways.
Yeah, I've done it both ways, but last year was all at one meeting, I believe.
Yeah, and the only reason I mention that is the decision could either be made October 13th if the committee can't reach a consensus on October 13th, and depending on the number of applicants, those meetings can go, kind of long. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the money would actually be awarded to the successful applicants on January 1st. Is that correct?
Well, we'd hope to award we'd hope to have the contracts ready to go, and then they would get their funding at the beginning of January.
Right. So it would be on the calendar year for the funding.
Yeah, funding to a calendar year basis instead of a fiscal year.
So one thing that, since we do have a little bit of extra time, Mayor, if I could just maybe characterize what the applicant presentations would look like, and if there's any feedback on this, staff would welcome it. But typically what we've had is we've limited depending on the number of applicants, we've either limited it to an hour or an hour and a half, and presentations have typically been anywhere from 2 all the way to 5 minutes, depending on how long. In the case of the $20,000 applications, if I remember, I think the interviews last year, or the presentations, were 5 minutes apiece. Is that accurate, Stephanie? She's nodding her head, correct. I guess I would just be curious if there's any comments on how last year's presentations, Q&A, and deliberations went. If you have any feedback on that process for us, it would be good to know that now so we could bring that into that October 13th work session, if that's okay, Mayor.
Yeah, that's fine. So I'm trying to figure out so for the members of the committee that were involved in the process last year, is there any feedback? Yeah, I'll think about it for a minute, but is anyone raising their hand? I don't see any hands.
If last year seemed to flow okay, the way that it worked is each applicant had, I think, 5 minutes to kind of talk about their grant. And then I think there was 3 minutes after that of Q&A, so the committee could ask questions and answers of the applicants. And as it was mentioned, there were 9 applications last year. And so if you start to do kind of the math and you have maybe 9 minutes apiece, you're at 80 minutes, that's an hour and a half. And so typically what we've done is we've structured it so that if there's fewer applications, we have an hour. If there's more, then we have an hour and a half. And then we adjust the presentation time and the Q&A time in accordance with just how much time we have. So if there's I was just looking for some kind of sense if there was any kind of out of bounds or any course correction we needed, we'd welcome those comments.
Okay, so I saw Ms. Salgado had her hand raised.
Yeah, hi. I had my hand raised, but basically what he said, I feel like it flowed pretty well, and it was nice to get it all done in one setting, just in case other people can't make it other times. So I thought that I agree with doing it all in one setting.
Yeah, thanks, Marissa. I agree too. I think that from doing it both ways myself, like everyone is there. You don't want people to have to make 2 trips, I think, the applicants. So I thought it worked out pretty well. I also just think too, if we get to a point where we don't have enough time or we're in deliberations and we can't really decide, as a committee, we could maybe say, hey, could we have these few applicants come back? These are our questions. Could you come back and follow up on our questions, and then we can make a decision. But I think we should go in planning for a 2-hour work session to do the presentations and the deliberations and, potentially the decision. Go ahead, Jesse.
Just one more thing to add. Typically, the reason we wanted to get a consensus on the October 13th date is we actually advertise that as part of the application process so that all the applicants know that the presentations will be on that evening. We try to give as much advance notice as we can. That way, if somebody is unable to attend from that group, they can find somebody else to present. But we try to telegraph that as soon as we can. So I just wanted to make sure there's a consensus on October 13th because we will actually put that into the advertising process.
Okay, so could people check their calendars and make sure that they're available on October 13th from the committee? So we can confirm that with staff. That would be our first council meeting in October.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it's Columbus Day, Indigenous Day.
And in some cases, if there's been lots and lots of applications, we've actually started the meeting at 5 instead of 5:30 just to give a little bit more time. We typically do that just after we see how many applications we get. So
yeah, I think we're going to have to do that, but we can decide that later. Okay. Is this timeline and process? We've heard from two of us. I see thumbs up. Thank you guys for being flexible with my virtual facilitating. Okay. So Jesse, Paul, do you need anything else from us? No?
Paul said
No,
no.
we're fine. Stephanie and Joyce will get the applications and the process, ready to start the process.
Thank you, Stephanie and Joyce. So I'm going to end this work session.